Dekopon Kingdom is a JRPG but with a twist. It's also a Mario Party style board game where players take turns, and also Monopoly where the player with the highest value at the end of the game wins. This game actually rocks, but nobody knows about it, and that's what this video is for. So what is Dekopon Kingdom? Dekopon Kingdom was originally made in 2008 by Stung Entertainment and published by Atlas for the PS2 and later on for the Wii. In 2023, a port came to the Nintendo Switch which added online play, as well as updated graphics. Normally I try to include the development of the games in this section of the video, but I cannot find anything. No interviews with developers, no wiki entries, no videos, nada. I looked everywhere, I couldn't find anything. So yeah, I guess it's because this game is so underground nobody cared to record it, but that's a bit sad because this is always my favorite part of the video, but oh well. So what is this game's story? It begins on one fateful day. Monsters arrive in the once peaceful land of Dekopon Kingdom. The king, a selfish, vain, gluttonous, greedy man, cannot lose the throne, because being on the throne is pretty fucking cool. Being the faithful, brainwashed soldiers we are, we volunteer to stop the monsters. The person who's collected the most money and stops the monsters will gain the hand of Princess Penny in marriage.
Alright, dear.
As well as that, the winner will also be the next king of Dekopon. So this king is just awful, selling his daughter out to the first knight in shining armor who comes. So pretty simple story, but this is a party game, so the story is never really the focus. The gameplay and the complete bridge-burning friendship energy this game has is the real appeal. When you start up a game, you get to slightly customize your character and pick one of three classes: warrior, thief, or magician. Then you race to Dekopon Castle. The sooner you get there, the more bonus stats you get. After getting to Dekopon Castle, you're given a weapon and shield if you don't have one already, and then once everyone's on the real game board, the real game begins. What can you do on your turn? Well, there's items like spinners, which let you use multiple spinners in one turn. There's crystals, which let you guarantee a number. There's stat boosting items, which raise your stats. And there's way more, but there's way too many for me to get to into this video, but there is a description in the game, so once you get an item, just read it in your description menu. You also cast field magic, which can only be used on the board. You can use them to attack another player, inflict status effects, and like items, there's many field magic, and way too many for me to go over in this video, but just like the items, they also have a description in the game. You can also use your spinner. Once you use your spinner, that's the final action of your turn. Whatever you get on the spinner is the number of spaces you can move. There are many spaces you can land on, and unlike the items and field magic, I will go over what each space does since this is an integral part of the gameplay. So the spaces you can land on are yellow spaces. 70 to 90% of the time you land on yellow spaces, you'll enter a battle, which I will explain later. After a fight, you get EXP and money. Money and EXP I hope you're smart enough to understand, being this is a mainly JRPG channel. But you also get another unseen stat, job EXP. After enough job EXP, you level up the job. This means you get an increased salary at the end of the week, and also after hitting the max level of the job, which is level 6, you'll gain extra stats on your level ups. Warrior gives you attack, thief gives you speed, etc, etc. If you land on the same yellow space as another player, you initiate a fight with that player. And there's of course punishments for the loser. These green spaces with an item bag will begin an item roulette, and you get whatever item that roulette lands on. These small spaces here are towns. If a monster's on this space, that means it is unclaimed. If you defeat the monster, you get the town. If there is no monster, that means the town is claimed. The town's name will be highlighted in that player's color. I.e., if I was playing as the yellow character, my towns would be highlighted in a yellow board. If the town is unclaimed, you can spend the night there provided you pay tax, unless you're the owner of course. You can also steal their tax money if you're not the person who owns it. If you are the owner, you'll get the tax money when you go back to visit the town. You can also reinvest that money back into the town to increase its level. This is a very good idea because when you're level 3, you can get their local item. This is stuff you can give to the king for a benefit. If you also stay in a town, you'll also recover all your HP. So it's a very good idea to stay in towns if you're low on health. Avoid these red spaces at all costs. This begins a roulette of almost all negative options. While it is possible to get something good out of red loot, it is unlikely. Also, save something it won't work because this is all predetermined. So yeah, avoid this because these spaces could kill you. These blue spaces allow you to collect taxes or invest in any of your towns without visiting them. These gold spaces will collect all the tax money from all your towns all at once. Although, on the downside, this gold space does not let you invest, only collect. These blue and pink spaces let you enter or exit a dungeon. Same goes for various floors of that dungeon. There are 3 types of shops in the game: item, weapons, and magic. If you land on this space, you will visit that respective shop. Yes, the space looks the same as the town, but you should be able to tell by the building in the background if it's a shop or town, and also what type of shop it is, as they all look visually different. When you enter a shop, you can buy, sell, or attack, which is robbing them. When you rob them, this will initiate a rock, paper, scissors battle. If you win, you get their most valuable item. If you lose, you're wanted for the week. You can't enter any shops, towns, or the castle. And also there's a bounty placed on your head, which any player will claim if they kill you. At the temple, you can recover all your status ailments, send gifts to the king under your name or someone else's, whether the king will like it or not. But also, the most recent temple you visit will also be your spawn point if the worst were to happen. Dekopon Castle is a place you need to go to change your class once you max it, and I will get in what maxing classes does later. You can give the king a gift like at the temple. You can also change your hairstyle, and also going there resets your spawn points as it would with the temple. You also recover all your health and recover from any status ailments you may have gotten. Locked boxes are the chests of this game. If you land on this space with a key in your inventory, you can open it. You will get an item or piece of equipment. White loot will cause a roulette to begin and you will get an item or piece of equipment. Everything in this though is much more valuable than the regular item spaces. Gold loot will start up a roulette. All the items on the roulette are various amounts of money. Once you stop it on one, you will get that amount in cash. Weapon spaces will start a roulette. Every item on it is a weapon. Whether you take that weapon is up to you or not. You will get to see the stats before you decide though. Shield space is the same as a weapon roulette. Roulette begins and every item on there is a various shield. It's the same as a weapon though, you will get to see the stats of the shield before you decide which one you take or not. Battle magic spaces. A roulette begins and all the items are various battle magics. I will get into what battle magic is later, but you are going to have to do some extra digging to figure out which one you want or not. Castles are like towns but add a lot more value than towns. A castle is worth twice as much as the most valuable town in that continent. Anyone can stay there, but you have to pay a lot more rent than you would for a town. Except for the owner, of course. The owner can stay there for free. Also, the owner can invest in a castle to make it worth even more. So, since I've gone over all the spaces, let's talk about what happens when you land on the most common space, yellow. When you enter a battle, you will be forced to pick between 2 cards. This will decide who goes first and last. When it's your turn, you can attack them with your physical attack stat. You can use a battle magic if you have one, which you can get from the battle magic spaces or the regular magic shop. You can strike, which puts all your stats against all of their stats and will in most likely cases kill them. Or you can use a skill. You get skills for outwitting various battles in the game. There are various types of skills which I won't go over in this video because like the items of field magic, there's way too many, but you get a decent description of it before you equip it. There's stuff like alchemy, which turns all the damage you take into money. There's charge, which raises your attack, and in my opinion, the best skill, escape, allows you to flee a fight, no consequences. So when you're defending, you can defend, which lowers the amount of physical damage you take. You can use a defensive magic if you have one to lower the amount of magic damage you take. You can use counter, which is to only reflect a strike. If you counter and they attack, it does nothing. Counter will reflect the amount of damage a strike was supposed to do onto you onto the user. You can also give up, which assigns a loss to you and you lose the next turn. While that does sound bad, the penalty for dying could be 2 or 3 turns. In the grand scheme of things, taking an L and losing 1 turn is much better than possibly losing 2 or 3. As well as that if you give up you will also drop an item or field magic or possibly even lose control of a town. If you die to a player though, it is much worse. If you give up to a player, they can take half your money, 3 of your items, or 3 of your field magic. If you die to a player, they can take all your money, all your items, all your field magic, steal a town from you, or take a piece of equipment. They can also give you cursed items like the blackmail, which will kill you after a certain amount of time, nitroglycerin, which after enough attacks will explode and do a massive amount of damage to you, or the big bug, which will eat your items and field magic one by one till there's nothing left. You can also change their name or in like status effects, or give them your own status effects, which they have to go all the way to the temple to fix. So yeah, don't die, it's a very bad time. If you don't get a battle, you get an event. Events only happen on yellow spaces. So I will explain what each event does, since like the spaces, this is also kind of integral to the game, but not as much, but you will definitely not go a week without seeing one of these events happen. Roche. This little pocket gremlin will challenge you to rock, paper, scissors. If you lose, he takes some of your money and holds it into a pot. If you win, you get all the money that was in the pot. If you lose it and while in debt, by the way, he will clear all your debt. So yeah, there you go. If you're in debt, try to throw the game to Roche. Not that you can, it's a chance, but The Robot Assassin. The Robot Assassin will offer his services to you for a large amount of money. He will hunt another player of your choosing down for a week, and will appear on most of the yellow spaces for that player. The Begging Man. The Begging Man will show up and ask for some money. The catch is they could be the Goddess of Generosity. If you give them money, the Goddess of Generosity will give you an item in return. But in some cases, he could just be a begging man and will run off with your money. Dr. Exiles is a doctor who will come by and charge an exuberant price to fully heal you and any status effects you may have. The American health system, ladies and gentlemen. Guts the Blacksmith will show up and offer a player a new weapon. Guts will attempt to make one after you pay him. There's a chance though he will make a worse weapon than you had before. As well as that, there's also a chance he could fail. Kira is a merchant who will show up and offer you items you can't find in regular item shops, like death blocks, which will stop you from dying once, revives, which will revive you with half health if you die, super spinners, and so many good items. Definitely take a look at what Kira the merchant has if you end up running into her. Leanne is a delivery girl. She will ask the player to deliver an item to a town. If the player chooses to do so, they will get a hefty sum of money. You could alternatively though, give it to the king under your name or someone else's depending on if he likes it or dislikes it. Mitch Digger is going to show up in one of your towns and will attempt to build a hot spring. If he's successful, that will increase the value of the town, but there's a high chance that he could fail as this is decided by a spinner spin. It also costs a decent amount of money for him to attempt to build a hot spring. Risque is a bandit. If you pay him, he will steal items, money, or equipment from a player. Items are the most likely thing for him to steal and cost the least amount of money. Money is about a 50-50 chance and costs more than items. Equipment is highly unlikely he won't be able to steal but will cost a lot of money, so it's a risk and reward system. A UFO shows up to abduct you. It will either increase all your stats by 1 or decrease all your stats by 1. I have also seen it increase all your stats by 2, but it's more likely going to be 1 stat point to everything other than 2. You definitely got probed. Weber is a Satan spawn. He will give you a cursed item. The Blackmail, which you must spend half of your money to get rid of. It's essentially hot potato and will kill the player who has it after a certain amount of time. Nitroglycerin, which could be sparked by field magic or battle skills, will eventually explode after being sparked by field magic or battle skill. It will deal a massive chunk of damage or could even kill you. The Big Bug will eat all of your items and field magic until there is nothing left. But if you're in last place and you have the Dark Whispers, which I will explain soon, Weber will give you a contract, and I'll explain what that contract does in a short bit. Events that could show up are Abnormous Disaster. Each town in the continent loses a level and all the players must donate a generous portion of their money. In addition to that, you will lose all the taxes saved up and may go into debt over this. Bargain Sale, it's what it says on the tin. Everything in the shops is 40% off. Chimpies Loose. A rare breed of monsters called Chimpies escape the zoo, and 99% of your battles that week will be Chimpies. They are weak, but if they go first, they will inflict you with the Z-Plague. It lowers all your stats and will deal a massive amount of poison damage to you every turn and can kill you. I learned the hard way that it can kill you before recording this video. Do as I say, not as I do. The status effect can also be passed on to any players you walk past on the map. So hey, at least if you get infected, you can bring everyone down with you. The only cure is a miracle serum that the Chimpies can drop. You can also alternatively heal it by going to Dekopon Castle, but not the temples, just Dekopon Castle. You can also get the miracle serum from item spaces in heaven. The castle in the clouds. Drought is when a drought occurs and all your tax money for that continent is lost. Epidemic. COVID-19 has reached Dekopon Kingdom and money needs to be spent to save the townspeople. This amount of money you need to donate will be based on the amount of towns you have and what level they are. This could also send you into debt if you have many high level towns. Good harvest. A good harvest means you get a sum of money, and the amount of money you get is based on the number of towns you have. Green Junior's games. Green Junior will invite the players over for a card game. The card game is random. It could be Organization 13, where there's one angel hidden among the devils and you have to find it. The losers will go into debt over rewarding the winner. Or it could be a memory game where you collect something related to the pairs you find in a pairs card game. Or Green can make us fight to the death and show his mercenary who's way stronger than all of us. But if you win and scam Green, you get money. Hairstyle contest. The king is bored and you must create the best hair to a certain theme. The winner will be against a panel of judges. Beware though, if you are abducted by a UFO in a battle or wanted, you will not be invited to the hairstyle contest. You will get a week's notice for the hairstyle contest. Paid holiday. All the shops are closed for the week and the king does not like that. Strike. The bank and town spaces are all closed for that week. The thief for equality. A Robin Hood situation is going on. A thief will steal some money from first place and give it to last place. A Wabbit explosion. A Wabbit explosion is when 99 of your battles that week will be rabbits. Wabbits are enemies who will most likely escape if they get the first turn, but if you go first and win, you could get a rabbit hairstyle out of them or the Wabbit shield. Wallace. Throughout the game, the king will give you side quests. These are optional and you don't have to do them, and honestly I've never seen a game go where you have done them, so I have no footage for Wallace, please excuse me. But apparently during the final king side quest, Wallace, the main antagonist from Dekopon DX, will show up and start taking over towns. The first person to defeat him will win that side quest. So I've talked to you a bit about classes so far, but let me go into more detail about classes. When you max a class, you can go back to Dekopon Castle and change it for a new one. Now you can go back to Dekopon Castle and change your class before you max it, but this is not recommended because when you max a class, you get extra stats on your level ups, depending on what class you maxed. Getting even to level 5 doesn't do anything, it has to be maxed. If you're changing your class before you've maxed, you willingly put yourself at a disadvantage to everyone else. So just pick a class, commit to it, and don't change it until you max it. Maxing classes will also allow you access to a higher tier of classes. For example, once you master Warrior and Thief, you get access to the Ninja class, and so on. Every class has its own benefits. Warrior will randomly have higher attacks some turns. Magician can use 2 field magic in a turn. Thief will steal a random item from a player they walk past on the board. Alchemist can duplicate random items. Ninjas can use 2 items before they use their spinner. Spell swords will randomly affect field magic. Monk will increase the stats as your HP decrease. Acrobats have a 50% chance of coming back when they die. Robo Knight randomly activates a multi-crystal which lets you choose any number between 0 and 6. Clerics randomly heal HP, and the hero is allowed to use an item and a field spell before using their spinner. These skills add strategy to what you play. For example, if there's a lot of magicians on the board and you have both magician and warrior max, you should go spell sword so they don't attack you. If you're taking a lot of damage, you should go cleric so you randomly get your HP back. If you need to go far, turn it to the ninja because they have the most item space and just stock up on spinners. Speaking of item spaces, the amount of item spaces and field magic spaces you have are dependent on your class. Some have more item spaces, some have more magic spaces, and some have an even number. It really depends on what you need in that moment. The acrobat is one in the casino. You need to get a great on the second set of slots. To get Robo Knight, you need to get the lost technology which is found in the sunken shrine. It's a dungeon which is underwater, so you will take damage every turn you're down there, unless you have the air necklace. To become the hero, you need to master Spell Sword, Ninja, Acrobat, and get the hero license, which you can only get in heaven. Shit, the Castle of the Clouds. When you start a chapter in a new continent, some towns will have red monsters show up. These monsters will be stronger than your regular town monsters, but once you beat them, the monster will move to a new town. After you defeat a few, the chapter quest will start. These quests vary every chapter. There are some similarities, but sometimes on new playthroughs they're a little different. For the mission you could be asked to go to an NPC and get an item, defeat a boss first, get something and bring it back to the castle first, or a combination of these. If you beat the quest you get a castle. As I said, castles are worth double the most valuable town in that continent, so beating the quest first is in your best interest. But let's say you're playing against a group of players that are much better than you, have a better knowledge of the game, and are just beating you every quest. Is there no way you could win? Well, there is one thing you can do. Darkling is a class you don't get by maxing other classes. You get it by being far in last place. You know you can be the Darkling when you get this little Robin whispering messed up nothings in your ear. Once it shows up and you begin hearing the voices, you can go to this space and become the Darkling. If that isn't enough, sometimes Good Guy Weber will show up and give you the contract, as I mentioned earlier. This contract will teleport you straight to the Darkling space. Now, contracts can be stolen by a thief walking past you or by someone killing you and just taking it from you. The contract isn't that helpful for anyone other than the player it was given to because it doesn't teleport you to the Darkling space. While yes, going to that space normally wouldn't let you become the Darkling anyway, it's really close to Dekopon Castle, but the contract doesn't teleport you. As well as that, if you try to sell it at the item shop, it only sells for 1 gold. There is one benefit to stealing the contract though. It guarantees the player has to walk to the Darkling space, and it could be a while away. Once they get there though, they give up all their money, items, and town. All you get to keep is the equipment on your back and any castles you may have. But, in exchange you get to be the most overpowered class for the next 2 weeks in the game. The Darkling gets to use multiple spins a turn and also has way higher stats than anybody else on the board. So if you end up in a fight with a Darkling, it is not a fair fight, you are going to lose. And good luck trying to strike the Darkling because if the game notices you striking it, it will auto-counter you regardless of what the player playing the Darkling has picked. If you land in a town that another player has already claimed, you can steal it back from them, planting a monster and making it unclaimed. At the end of the Darkling phase, you will get the EXP equal to all the monsters you place. At the start of a Darkling turn, a spinner will start with a set of numbers. Whatever the roulette stops on will give you the number of Darkling points. These Darkling points will wreak havoc on the board. You can give players foot swords, causing them to only move 1 space a turn until they recover from it. You can seal their bags, so they can't use items. Or some of the most devastating, come here, forces everyone to your space. Castle Panic will randomly steal 1 castle from another player and give it to you. Local Assault will conquer all the towns in that continent and give you the EXP after the Darkling phase. Or Global Assault, steal every town in every continent and get the EXP from it. Since the story mode is so long, there are other modes in Dekopon Kingdom. There's a battle mode where you race against your competitors. There's a town race to see who can liberate a town first, a kill race where you need to kill another player a certain number of times, and a shopping race. Whoever brings back a certain item first wins. All these have their fans that are fully online compatible with Dekopon Kingdom Connect. It isn't as beloved as the story mode. So I've talked at length about the story mode, but what are some other things about Dekopon Kingdom I like? Well, the music is pretty good. It's not the most orchestrated or epic soundtrack, but it works for what it was made for. The graphics of Dekopon Kingdom Connect are an improvement over the original. In the original, the colours were a lot more darker, and in Connect they pop a lot more and much brighter. As well as that some character outfits were redesigned to be a little less revealing. And it was only the female outfits. Since I only play as a male though, it was never going to affect me personally. Also, it's just the warrior and acrobat female outfits. The others are still intact, which I like. In Connect, the shops and towns icons are smaller than in the original, while I don't fully understand why they were changed. In Connect, the shops and towns icons were much smaller than in the original. While I don't fully understand why they were made smaller, it doesn't take away from the game. I can still clearly see what I'm visiting on my turn. And the voice acting isn't that bad. It won't win them an award at the Rigged Awards, but it's not bad voice acting by any means. And that's pretty much all I have to say on Dekopon Kingdom Connect. It's a bit sad that this game never took off the ground because an RPG Mario Party Monopoly hybrid sounds really fun, but nobody's ever heard of this game. But who knows? You guys can help that cause though by liking this video, sharing it, and posting it everywhere. Please do it. I need the attention. But with that, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for another video coming in the near future. Also, you guys should follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram because I post stuff there. Content that you don't get on YouTube, so you should go follow me there. Okay, that's enough out of me. Bye guys.